Welcome to Oysters with a Pearl, the podcast series presenting the key outcomes of the eMSP NBSR project. My name's Kira G. I'm an MSP expert working at the Federal Maritime and Hydrographic Agency in Germany, and I'm delighted to be a host for this series. The EU-funded eMSP NBSR project brought together MSP planners, experts and stakeholders from the North Sea and Baltic Sea regions to collaboratively advance MSP practice. Urgent emerging topics were considered in communities of practice, and a series of practical recommendations were developed. Today, we are recording live at European Maritime Day 2024 in Svendborg in Denmark, and we're here to talk about a sustainable blue economy and how MSP can contribute to achieving this. I'm joined by Kinnie de Beule and Marijn Rabaut from the Blue Cluster in Belgium, Nathalie Scheidegger from the Ministry of Nature, Agriculture and Food Quality in the Netherlands, Marjoleine Karper from the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, and Nico Buytendijk, also from the Netherlands Enterprise Agency. A very warm welcome to all of you. Now then, the blue economy has become quite an important part of economies as a whole. When we look at our seas, the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, there's a lot going on. So my first question to you is, what would you say are the key features of a sustainable blue economy?
Thank you very much, Kira, for this question. The sustainable blue economy is actually the combination of the traditional economies like shipping, fishery, and new economies like seaweed, shellfish production, but also the renewable energy like wind and ocean energy. So actually, this is a big challenge because we also have to take into account the ecological boundaries, and that's why our sustainable blue economy community was dealing with how can we realize the sustainable blue economy.
Yes, maybe just to add on this, we need our seas for our economic activities to deploy and for renewable energies, but I think we cannot make the same mistake as on land. We have to rethink our activities from the very start, and I think we have a good chance here because mid-20th century we were not aware of what would be the effects of all the activities we were going to deploy on land, but now we know what we are doing and we have a lot of knowledge out there. So I think it's a big opportunity. We can use our seas for a sustainable blue economy, but we have also a lot more information on what sustainability is.
That's a very good point, actually, learning from the land, learning the lessons really from the rest of the economy, if you like. So multi-use has become a term that is much talked about in the MSP context, and we all know without multi-use, there's probably not going to be a sustainable blue economy either. So I wanted to ask you, what would you say are some of the important prerequisites for multi-use, and what are the main barriers, would you say, that we still need to overcome?
We need to go towards a balance. See, if you look at the development of offshore wind farms, fisheries, of course, etc., you can see it's mainly a sectoral way of working. And this is where multi-use comes in. Multi-use should be a basic principle. So it's not about sectoral developments and trying to fit in other uses, but really come up with a multi-use of our seas and oceans. So you can have areas where you can develop several activities, and one of them might be shipping, might be wind farms, but the basic principle should be multi-use. And that's one of the ways we can really work towards a balanced use of our seas and oceans.
Yes, I would very much agree on that point, Nico. And I think it's very important also to mention that we need to look at our seas as something that we can use, of course, as humans, that we can use in a sustainable way. But now, sometimes you see the tendency that if there's not enough space on land, we think, well, there's maybe an option at sea because there's plenty of space. Well, there isn't. It's quite dense already, so that's also a reason why we need multi-use. And I think there's a lot of work to do to actually explain that it is already dense and it's not a solution to actually reduce pressure on land.
So think sustainability from the very beginning and think about how we can use the sea in a way that suits several objectives at once and not really be stuck in a silo-based approach where there's one sector next to another. And in a way, that's what MSP is trying to do, isn't it?
It's of course Maritime Spatial Planning, but we had a discussion today, and that was also about cumulative impact. And one of the things that was brought to the table is that it should not be the case that if there's a newcomer, the newcomers should really comply to very strict rules, and that the existing industry doesn't have to adjust to make sure that you really are working towards a sustainable blue economy.
Exactly. I think if you want to go to sustainability, you need an open attitude from people that are already out there. It can be traditional use, but also the new established sectors. I think they should actually be a driver for new activities coming in, and not something that actually inhibits. So I think that's also why we need multi-use. But the key is also with the players that are already over there, that the activities that are already developed at sea.
Yeah, such important points, I think, really. The sea is not a blank canvas. So we need to make sure that we do take account of added pressure, cumulative pressures that will come, no doubt. So one of the concepts the eMSP project talked about is that of a Mari Park. Now, that's an interesting one. What exactly is a Mari Park, and how would it support a sustainable blue economy?
Okay, I can try to answer that question. So if you think about a Mari Park, it's actually an overarching infrastructure that is providing services, which is installed at sea, and it's a form of multi-use. So it's actually multi-use at sea as a basic principle, but also providing the structures and the services like buoyings, or you think about data and monitoring and safety. So actually it's a form of de-risking businesses and entrepreneurs, and so that they can easily plug into the existing and managed system, and that they can start doing their innovative, often business.
You summarized it very well, Kinnie. The business area is also meant to help the government and other stakeholders for different fields, like to align policies with the needs of private parties. Another one the Mari Park can also help is the regulatory support to focus on a clear adaptive regulatory framework on liability permitting and also environmental impact assessment. Another one is the technology development, also innovative business models, designing commercially viable business models. And last one is what is also very important is the financing and investment, setting up a financial incentive instruments, especially for the startup phase towards scale up.
That sounds really, really good. It seems to take away a lot of the barriers that are commonly experienced, aren't they, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to combining uses, and also in terms of planning, in terms of things like licensing, the regulatory framework. So it sounds like such a good idea, but how would it be included in an MSP plan then, do you think? Would it be a zone maybe, or how do you see that?
Yes, I see Nico is eager to talk also, because this is really something we have been discussing a lot. The Mari Park concept is actually, it's incredibly simple, and I have the feeling that's also the reason why it's incredibly difficult to explain. It's actually simple in a way that it is a zone. You can only say, okay, this is a zone, like a business area on land, but you actually say the condition is that there is multi-use. The thing is, as it's so simple, you can adapt your conditions to the context. And I think that's why it's so difficult, because people want examples, and then we tend to stick to this example. But every context is different. And as Nathalie explained, it's also a governance tool. You can also have an authority around it. You can have companies that run it. So it's not only a zone, it can be an infrastructure, it can be data sharing, and also service sharing. We believe that it's a very strong concept from a governance point of view, but it's also a very strong concept from a very practical point of view.
What I also think is good to know is that there's a there's actually two facets to a Mari Park. I think there's a public facet that's responsible for licensing, policy development, laws, regulations, etc. But if you look at the infrastructure at sea, at the services that will be provided, that will probably be a private company or a private public entity. That's really important to understand that a Mari Park has two facets, the government and the business behind it. And what we've always been stating, and I think Marijn will concur, is that we want to have a net positive effect on the ecosystem. And we think that's possible, but it's only possible if there's a good governance from a government side, but also from the private side. And that's why we think we have to work together. What do you think, Marijn?
Yes, in that way, a Mari Park is even a way of accomplishing your nature development goals that you want to have. So it's not only on economy; it's also to actually reach your goals from a biodiversity and ecosystem point of view.
As you said, in a way, a very simple concept. We're very effective, very flexible, very adaptable. But I wanted to come back to the overall messages maybe that the learning strand has developed and is offering for planners. And I want to come to Marjoleine because we haven't heard from you at all yet, and I'm sorry about that. So should we all just go ahead and design Mari Parks in our marine spatial plans?
Oh, I like that idea.
What do you say are the most important steps do you think planners can take to make sure that we are in fact moving towards a sustainable blue economy?
So we have these three big ambitions on nature, on food, and on energy. And we tend to focus only on either one of them. So what we recommend is to have this overarching approach to find a balance within the transitions and to really start from this ecosystem-based approach as well and to have identify what are those cumulative activities as well. So we urge to really start working on the multi-use within the framework for the regulatory basis, but to get the innovation started as well. And to find the clarity of this multi-use. So we already started here by explaining what can be a Mari Park, but also to grow into this mature type of multi-use. Also there you need this overarching approach as well to find the synergies between the uses. I think those are the main recommendations that come together actually that we found.
That sounds really, really important. And I can really feel the passion coming from all of you. It's really good to hear. So I'd like to ask you to share a little bit what inspired you most at the end of the day. It was an interesting project, eMSP, lots of new things were developed. How do you think might the ideas that came from the eMSP project be taken forward in practice?
For me, it was very inspirational that we were able to create like this free space to really develop new ideas. Especially with the co-lead and our Dutch colleagues to actually really discuss on the Mari Park and then to broaden it to the other partners. I think it's quite an exception that we could do this and to make huge steps forward. That gave me a lot of energy, and I think we have to move along these lines. That was really great.
What I really liked is that we inspired through the way of working and through our conceptualizing the Mari Park. So the southwest of Finland, for example, really taken up how we approached our way of working, but also the Mari Park concept and also trying it there. So we already made some kind of first tangible aspect. That's what I liked. Within the next project, we really hope to take it a step further, where we join also with the GNSPI, but luckily also the Baltic Sea is still present. So we also already strengthen kind of this cooperation that we started between the two sea basins even more on a different level.
Yeah, a short add to that, to both Marjoleine and Marijn. I think we really did something different. We really build a community. I think that's one of the things I really will take with me. We have some tangible results. I think that's really important. Today we were at the Blue Forum, the EU Blue Forum, and one of the things that was stated is, do we have enough information to make the step forwards? And I think, for example, for the Mari Park, yes, we do. And of course, we will make mistakes and we'll have some trial and error processes, but that's okay.
If I may, just a small addition, it's not only within the SPE learning strand, but also together within the whole project, we kind of formed a community. You know, we did it all together. You can see the linkages between all the topics, but also the linkages that were made personally as well. So that's really inspiring.
Really, honestly, I really can take that inspiration. And it's been great to see also that it has kind of been communicated at the European Maritime Day today, in fact, and that ideas are already being taken forward. Just goes to show the importance of projects, and long may they continue. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone listening, for joining us today. If you'd like to find out more, go to the eMSP website on www.emsproject.eu, where you can download all the policy briefs and reports, including the one on the sustainable blue economy. And don't forget to check out the other episodes of Oysters with a Pearl, which are also available on the website.